Okay, so I will continue on the same topic. So I'm Cedric Chevalier. I work at CEA in France, and it's mainly the work of my colleague Pierre and Guénolé that are not here today, but I should be able to answer some of the technical questions if you have. So the context is very similar to the one of Sandia. So we use Spack to distribute complex software stacks on bare metal clusters. We are very happy by the deployment capabilities offered by Spack, but we also want to rely on the same process to develop our software. So, and we want also no regression in terms of developing environment from our users, so they should be able to use their favorite editor or IDE. So we have evaluated different solutions. So Spack develop. So it's very useful when you are building a software stack. So for me, it's more, I will say, DevOps tools than a software developer command, and it's not very trivial to integrate with your editor. So we have tried to use modules. So we generate modules for all of our dependency beforehand, and after we load the modules, and we can work outside Spack, in fact. So here also, it's not very easy to integrate with IDE, because either you have to load the module before launching the IDE, or you have to do some scripts or something like this to make the IDE load the module before trying to compile. And the other issue is you are limited to one configuration at a given time, because it's the one of your environment. So the solution we have tried to implement is to generate CMake configuration. So all of our software use CMake as a build system. So we will try to work at the CMake level, and this is well integrated with IDE. So the IDE is to use CMake presets. So if you are not familiar with this, you can define in some JSON file the details on how to build a project. So mainly you have two different files. One that is project-wide, and that can be added to your source repository, and another CMake user preset that is tied to your environment and your user. So what we have done is we have done a Spack plugin that will generate CMake user presets to be useful for our developers. So it starts with the Spack environment. You will add your software and set up the configuration like a regular Spack environment. You will do the concretization, and we need to get the Spack hashes of the root specs. And after, we have written this gen preset plugin, and we will use the Spack hash to generate the gen preset, and we follow the Spack specs format to be able also to generate the preset name. So here, for example, we will have the name of the package, so here foo. We will have the state of the variant specified with Spack, and we will have the compiler name and the compiler version used by Spack during the concretization. We can specify a build directory, and we can also append CMake flags instead of reconcretizing everything, or if we want to access flags that are not available in Spack. So once you have generated this file, you can directly use them outside Spack. The CMake preset can embed the environment variables and different environment variables depending on the stage. If you are in the build or in the configure in the build or even in the test, and you can use them by hand or directly on some IDE like VS Code, or we use also a lot CLion, and it's directly integrated into that. For more advanced usage, what we do is we still use Spack and Spack environment to install dependencies, but now when we generate the CMake presets, we choose another name, and the main CMake preset will include this name. So here we can prescribe in the project what are the useful configuration for the user, and the user can have a script that will set up all his dependency with Spack. So to conclude, so we have developed this add-on solution for help our user to interact with Spack during the development process of their CMake-based code. So it's implemented as a Spack plugin. It generates CMake presets. So in the past, we were using CMake cache, and we are really happy to use CMake presets now. And it can be used in bare metal environments. So, and it's compatible with Spack's upstreams that we use to deploy our software stack. So the current limitation is it's still a little bit tied to our internal way of using Spack. So we have a project named Spack Organizer where we store the machine configuration and how to leverage the system software stack. And so we have still some work to do to be a pure Spack. And it's a CMake only solution. So we were wondering if there is an interest to upstream this plugin to the Spack community, or if it's too focused on one build system. So yeah, that's my last slide, and I can try to answer questions.
Any questions? We got time for maybe two here.
Do you ever have to work on multiple software packages at the same time? And if so, what's your approach? Because
so for that, we still use Spack developed, and so there is some drawback with IDE, but yeah.
So could you maybe expound a little bit on what the pain points are for integrating Spack develop with the IDE the way you guys are using it?
Can you repeat the question? I missed the beginning.
So one of the premises for this is that Spack develop is clunky to integrate with the IDEs. I was just curious if you could expand upon what those pain points are for the Spack develop and integrating with the IDE.
Okay, so we don't want to how to say, our users are free to select any kind of editors or IDEs they want, and we don't want to maintain a collection of scripts that will load, that will execute before Spack develop or this kind of stuff. And a fully native CMake solution was better in this respect because most of our user don't really know what's happening if they follow the last workflow. They just load the project, and the IDE will load CMake, and CMake will see the preset. So there is no configuration on their side.
See if we can get Thomas up here for the next presentation, and maybe one more question.
Okay, this is kind of a general comment and more on my ignorance, but so the Spack plugins or extensions, like I can't search for them, I don't think, and so I wonder if like there should be like a GitHub tag or something assigned to these, or like, I mean, because so PyTest actually does like an excellent job of this, right? You have all this wonderful system of PyTest plugins, and this sort of, you know, discoverable with like a naming convention, but I don't know if this is something, if this is just like a branch. I know, Todd, here.
No, I think you are in a better place.
Yeah, we we would like to also do that thing. I guess Greg just messaged me immediately before you started talking, saying I wasn't aware there was such a robust ecosystem of Spack extensions. And yeah, so I think it would be cool if we could make them Spack installable, honestly. Like, so you could just Spack install them and then say use this extension. Oh, well, okay, yeah. Phil had a prototype of that, and then, I mean, we have a lot going on. But I think it would be super useful, because then you wouldn't have to have quite as much setup for using your extensions. You just install them like you do, like with pip install your PyTest extension, like you said. Anyway, we could look at that. It seems like there's a lot of useful things.